Welcome to CyberCEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. CyberCEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. All right, another awesome day here at Cyberbacker. My name is 𝗙𝗪𝗯. We're back with another episode of CyberCEO. And of course, we have a very special guest on the show right now. Heidi, how are you doing today?
Great. It's a great day. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. And of course, for giving us your time. I know you're very, very busy. Now, to kick things off, to let you know, we have a lot of listeners who are also business owners just like you. So I need your help. Can you introduce yourself to our audience? Maybe starting off with, what is your role in the business, Heidi?
My role is I am a productivity coach. I launched my business a little over 2 years ago, and that is my full-time job.
Okay, productivity coach. So how about with Cyberbacker? I'm curious to know, how long have you been partnered with one?
A year and 4 months, roughly.
Okay, so over a year, almost something like your productivity business then.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, she's been with me. I went through the first 9 months without her, and then she joined in December, not this last December, but the December before. So.
Okay. Now, I'm curious to know, how did you find Cyberbacker? Or did someone refer you to us, or you saw us online?
You know, I'm trying to remember. It may have been my mastery coach from MAPS. 𝗙𝗪𝗯𝗓 is my coach, and she may have talked to me about it because 𝗙𝗪𝗯𝗓 obviously is a very well-known success story with Keller Williams, and she told me about that. I believe it may have been her, but it's been so long and there was so much going on that I couldn't, honestly say for sure, but I believe it was my MAPS coach that first told me about it.
Okay, so probably a referral then. Now, you've been with Cyberbacker for a while now, over a year. Now, what comes into your mind now when you hear the word Cyberbacker?
Cyberbacker, it's kind of funny because in the world we live in, so much of how we conduct business now is via Zoom, phone calls, text messages. And I forget all the time that my executive assistant is living in another country. And for me, it doesn't feel very cyber. It feels very real. There were even agents, because of the timing where we launched, where I had not met them for about 8 or 9 months because they started in the pandemic and we had to do everything via Zoom. So I have not met my Cyberbacker in person, obviously, but it doesn't feel any less of a relationship than most of the people I interact with every day. So yeah, that's what comes to my mind, is she's so much more than some digital or remote assistant. She's a huge and important part of the team.
An important part of the team. Now, before you got partnered with your Cyberbacker, though, did you have experience working with someone virtually, or was this your first time?
It was my first time.
First go at it then. So how was the transition though, from running everything on your own to, of course, now being partnered with someone who can support you, your Cyberbacker?
The transition was exactly kind of what I expected. I had hired an assistant before, because before I was a coach, I had a very robust real estate business, and I had hired a couple of assistants before. And I know we'll talk about it later, but the gearing up portion of that whole endeavor is very painful. It usually takes a lot longer than we can afford to or budget for. What was great about working with Cyberbacker was the gearing up time where I could start handing things over and know that they would be done and I didn't have to do them anymore. It was comparatively very short to the assistants that I had hired before.
Wow. Okay. So really saved you a lot of time then when it comes to that.
Yeah. And I think what people underestimate is it's more than just the amount of time. It's you have to be ready to articulate everything you do and why and how. When you hire someone to help you with things that all are happening up here and you don't have like a training manual, why would you? You have to prepare to be able to articulate things in such a way that somebody else can pick them up and understand. That's not just time in the actual training, it's time in mental investment, emotional investment. You're thinking constantly about, how do I get this out of my brain and into her brain? And there's no direct comm link. You guys haven't come up with that yet, but but actually, what was great was, and I can't recommend this enough, is when I was doing that, what I did was I created a bunch of Loom videos. I already had a Loom account, LOOM. And so everything I did, as I did it, which I had been doing for 9 months, I just created a Loom video every time I did one of those tasks, saved it in a folder, and then I handed her this big digital folder and said, here's the how-to on literally everything I need you to do. So I could just do what I was doing, record it in real time, give it to her, and she could see it and duplicate it. So that works really well.
Yeah, right there. That's already good advice for the people who would want to partner with their own cyberbacker, working with someone virtually. Just get those videos done, just somewhat of like a video library, right?
Yeah, of what you're already doing without them. So if there's things that you want to hand off to them, that 80-20 thing, if there's the 80% tasks that you're doing already, just do them on Loom and think out loud as you go, and they'll be able to just pick it up. People are visual typically in their learning style, so it's really helpful. And then you can just sort of narrate as you go. They can see what you're doing. They've got your logins. They're off to the races.
And something that they can use to reference back to if ever they forget anything, or just to make sure that they did everything right, right?
Yes. Yep.
Now, talking about tasks, what were the things that you needed help with before you got partnered with Cyberbacker, these nitty-gritty tasks?
One of the biggest things was the onboarding process. It's so simple. Like, I actually created a checklist so that I didn't forget things. But when I bring a new agent into coaching, I have an interview with them. And during the interview, I take a bunch of notes. I take those notes. I add them into their systems that they need to operate in, put them in Google, like group emails, put them in contacts, put them in this, put them in that, sign up with that. There's probably about no less than 15 steps every time. And, you do that a few times a week. And every time I would do it, I was like, I can't wait to hand this to somebody else, because it's so simple, but it's just stuff that is taking me away from being able to be in that 20% space where I need to be creative and entrepreneurial. I'm just data entry was killing me.
I think that's quite normal.
I was doing it, but
that's quite normal, I think, because again, there's just this fine line between your 20% and your 80%. Sometimes you lose track of it too, right?
Yeah, and I have a very strong admin bent to me. I have learned I have had to do that over the years as a business owner. I succumbed to the reality of having to be incredibly organized, even though I think more in an artistic space and more of a creative space, I have a very strong admin side. So I think if you have that, it's easier to hand that part over. If you don't, I can understand why. If you're just super entrepreneurial or artistic in your mindset and you don't have a habit of being administratively organized, I can understand the struggle could be a lot harder.
I agree with you there. So sometimes when we have our new CyberCEOs and your new clients, what we say is create your own give up list. That list of tasks that you're willing to give to your cyberbacker, of course. That is very, very important. Now, before you got partnered with your cyberbacker, of course, you went through our cyberbacker hiring process. So I'm curious to know more about your experience there. So how was the hiring process here in Cyberbacker? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Walk us through your experience.
It's different than what I've done before, because at the very beginning, something I don't think I really anticipated was I got interviewed first. I think that's really important step that you guys do, because you need to know who I am so you can try to find the right fit for me. And so I think I didn't really anticipate, when I was preparing mentally to be interviewing people, I didn't prepare mentally to be interviewed. So even though you guys gave me questions ahead of time, it was just different. I don't think any part of it was actually difficult, but just different. But I like different. So I'm more maybe willing to embrace new stuff. So yeah, that might be something that maybe as people are thinking about doing that, just prepare to be asked more questions than you thought before you're in a position to ask questions.
Yes, of course. Here in Cyberbacker, we really try to find a perfect match for you, because you're going to be working with this person almost every day of the week. So the match is very, very important. Now, how about the training? Because here in Cyberbacker, we provide the training. So did that training we gave your Cyberbacker help you save time in any way?
In every way. In every way. Because I think, I've said this before. I was interviewed by somebody before about this. The two pain points of hiring a great assistant is finding somebody who's qualified, going through the interview process, first of all, just finding people to interview, because they don't grow on trees. Great assistants do not grow on trees. That part's painful, but the training part is equally, if not more painful than the interview process. That takes weeks, sometimes even to find people to interview. And then it can take weeks, maybe a couple months to really get somebody up and running. So when I heard that you guys took care of those two major pain points, which I think are really for me the only pain points, I was like, where do I sign? Because I had been through that before. And if you have, then you know. So when I saw the list of things that my assistant was going to be trained in, I was like, oh, I think, if this actually turns out to be true, I'm going to be sitting pretty. And she knows my systems that I have to operate on better than I do. I have to say, side note about her is she didn't have a background in admin, and she obviously wasn't a Keller Williams agent or anything, but I could tell by her resume, by the way she articulated herself in writing and the way she spoke and how she showed up to the interviews, because there were two, that I didn't care what she had done before. I knew what she could do. So her background had nothing to do with what she was about to do, but I also felt like she was really eager to learn new things and could handle a lot. Yeah, she was a perfect choice.
So she's really a go-getter then, something like that.
Yeah, she's a go-getter that is desperately shy. So she does not ever want to be on camera. She doesn't want to say hardly anything. She's very thoughtful though in her word choices, and she's a great communicator. So that was really important to me, is because I'm dealing in a part of the country with a lot of executive type people, a lot of successful tech people, CEOs. I'm in Silicon Valley, California area, and the level of our communication comes with a set of expectations. So I wanted to find somebody who was going to be able to talk the talk.
Of course, that's very important, because again, this Cyberbacker is representing you and your business, so someone that would represent it well, of course. Now, I'm curious to know, you've been with Cyberbacker for over a year. How did this become a successful partnership? What did you do to work on it?
I think I gave feedback when I was asked for it. I try to participate whenever I can. I have a very stacked schedule, so because of my assistant, I can have that. I think getting to know what's important to my backer is huge. She's a human being. She has a whole life. She has a family. She has dreams. And so I've, invested some time getting to know her, and I've looked for opportunities to give back to her and to find out what her love language is. Like, as shy as she is, and she doesn't want to be the center of attention ever, but it really fuels her to hear my gratitude. And I think I started doing that, and then I got busy with stuff and I wasn't doing it as much. And I could feel that I needed to step it up a little bit. It's like she just blossoms when she knows that her work is appreciated and their efforts are recognized. So, and then I looked for ways to bonus her like at Christmas. And then before that, I bonused her when we hit a record month. And like, hey, if I'm successful, you're successful too.
Wow, just right there, just giving gratitude then, and knowing and making them feel that they are doing something good, something like that then.
Oh yeah, and I say all the time, she's the boss of me. Whatever she says is what we're going to do. People ask me all the time, hey, can we do this? I don't know, ask her.
To make sure.
She's the boss. Yeah.
Now, obviously, of course, once we have this out, by the way, your Cyberbacker is going to be listening to this episode. So I'd like you to answer the question, knowing that she will be listening. So
I always assume that she's my boss. Remember?
Oh yeah. She's your boss. So what is the best part about your Cyberbacker then?
Well, there's several things that she puts her heart into what she does. I think she does a good balance of not finding her whole identity in her work, and yet knowing that her work and commitment reflects on her as a person. And she's a young woman, and I'm not. And so I have noticed, there seems to be a tendency for people to really just kind of phone it in, if you will. They punch a clock, they just show up, do as little as possible. If it gets done, it gets done. If it doesn't, it doesn't. She's exceptional in the way that she takes to heart that it's important, and she sees that what she does or does not do directly impacts other people. And I think that's something that is unfortunately missing in a lot of the young workforce right now. I count on it that she's not a perfect person. Nobody is, that everybody makes mistakes, but she makes very, very few mistakes. And I can rest assured that if I say, hey, can you take care of this? that I'm not laying awake at night thinking, is she going to do it? I know she is. She's earned my confidence. So there's that. She's definitely earned it. And I have high expectations. You know, I have been in her position to assist somebody else. And I think we're a good match in that I took a lot of pride in being exceptional, and she does too. She's also harder on herself than anybody ever could be. So if there's an issue that comes up, I have learned I need to just softly present it, and she will take care of everything else. If I just go, hey, can we fix this? I don't need to tell her why we should fix it or who's involved. I don't have to cast some sort of compelling vision. She is compelled already and emotionally and mentally invested in making sure things are done right. So I think that's exceptional. She also is a great communicator. If something's going on with her, which never really is, but she does have a small child. So I'm always thinking, how do you not have more interruptions? Like, I don't understand how you're able to do what you do, but I just think that she's a good person who really, truly means well and does her absolute best every day. And that anybody who is fortunate enough to know her is a blessed person.
Gosh, we are just very excited to see where this partnership between you and your Cyberbacker is going to be, let's say, in the next more years to come, of course.
I know. I told her that she can't leave.
I don't think she will ever. I don't think she will too. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, she helped us grow. We were at a point where I think when she came on, we were at 35 agents in the program. And as soon as she was up and running, we were able to hit and exceed the 50-person mark. At the peak, wow. I think we had like 86 people in. It was only then that I was starting to feel the fatigue of that. But I was feeling as fatigued at 35 agents in the program as I ended up feeling with 86. But she was able to cover that gap in answering questions, because it's not just me that I try to shield her, but agents are able to go to her and ask her for help with things. And so she's dealing with a lot of people too, but there's no way we could do what we do without her. Absolutely not. I appreciate the work that went into creating this program. I've sent no less than 6 people to you guys to get their own Cyberbacker, and they are thrilled. So I'll continue to talk about it the way I do. It's as darn near perfect as it could be.
We are very, very appreciative. Of course, we appreciate you and your business. Heidi, thank you again for being on the show today.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our daily dose of CyberCEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.